Ruan Tang works as a personal assistant to Cheng Yizhu, a cold, aloof and domineering president known as the iceberg tycoon in the industry. One midnight, she received an abrupt message from her superior at 2:15 in the morning, ordering her to go to his luxury mansion on the weekend to take charge of comprehensive cleaning work. Overwhelmed with helplessness and complaints, Ruan Tang had no choice but to obey the unreasonable arrangement, thinking that this cold and ruthless president never considered the rest and privacy of his employees. Cheng Yizhu's luxury mansion adopts a standard cold style with black, white and gray as the main tones. Every corner is cold and rigid, completely consistent with his indifferent, unapproachable, undalienated personal temperament. When Ruan Tang sneaked into the master bedroom with a feather duster to clean, she was instantly attracted by a special ornament beside the bed. There placed a fluffy brown teddy bear, neatly dressed in a small suit and a delicate bow tie, full of cute contrast. The discovery completely subverted Ruan Tang's inherent impression of Cheng Yizhu. She never imagined that the cold-blooded president who is rigorous and rigid in work would hide such a lovely plush doll in his private living space. Out of curiosity, she gently pinched the bear's ears and muttered to herself, indulging in the cute contrast of her boss. Accidentally, she slipped under her feet in the quiet bedroom. The plush bear slipped out of her hand, drew only parabola in the air, and hit the hard wardrobe heavily. An obvious crack cracked on the back of the doll, and white cotton wadding gushed out from the gap messily. At the moment when the plush bear was damaged, a sharp and piercing pain suddenly spread from Ruan Tang's back, rushing straight to her spine. The intense pain was extremely real, just like being cut by a sharp blade. She could not control her body and knelt heavily on the ground, cold sweat breaking out all over her body in an instant, falling into extreme embarrassment and pain. Bedroom door was suddenly pushed open violently. Cheng Yizhu stood against the light, wearing loose home bathrobes with untied belts, revealing his strong and well-defined chest muscles with crystal water droplets remaining on the skin. His whole body exuded a strong sense of oppression. His eyes instantly locked on the broken plush bear on the ground, and his pupils contracted sharply in an instant. He called Ruan Tang's name word by word in a low and cold voice, and every syllable was squeezed out from between his teeth, filled with unprecedented anger and heartache. To Ruan Tang's great shock, this 30-year-old mature and cold president actually regarded a plush bear as his son and regarded this ordinary doll as his most precious treasure. Without paying attention to Ruan Tang's painful and pale appearance, Cheng Yizhu knelt on one knee in a hurry, carefully held up the damaged plush bear with extreme tenderness. When his slender fingertips gently stroked the cracked wound on the bear's back, a strange electric current swept through Ruan Tang's spine, and the pain on her back doubled instantly. Cheng Yizhu suddenly raised his deep gray eyes, scanning Ruan Tang's face sharply like an X-ray machine. His finger pad crushed the broken part of the bear's back heavily, making Ruan Tang's physical pain more intense. She could only kneel on the ground weakly, and the delicate silk dress on her body suddenly cracked a long gap due to the forced posture. The air in the bedroom froze in an instant. Cheng Yizhu's sight slowly moved from the cracked skirt to the injured plush bear, and finally fixed on Ruan Tang's biting and trembling lips. A faint playful smile appeared at the corner of his mouth, and the ambiguous atmosphere quietly brewed in the silent space. He stroked the thick fluff on the bear's chest with his thumb, with obvious heartache on his cold face, and softly comforted the plush bear in a gentle tone that had never been seen before, asking whether his precious son was in pain all over. Ruan Tang was flustered and tried to rush forward to take back the plush bear, wanting to make up for her mistake, but Cheng Yizhu easily held the doll high with his height advantage of 188 centimeters. Ruan Tang could only stand on tiptoes and reach for it. Her posture was like throwing herself into his arms on her own initiative. The clear shower gel fragrance mixed with his warm body temperature surrounded her tightly, making her heart beat disorderly. He stopped Ruan Tang's impulsive behavior in a deep voice, and teased the plush bear gently with a doting tone, putting on an extremely intimate fatherly posture, completely unable to bear the continuous physical discomfort and ambiguous pressure. Ruan Tang collapsed weakly on the sofa, The thin camisalo on her shoulders slipped off accidentally, revealing delicate skin. Cheng Yiju's Adam's apple rolled obviously at a glance, and his eyes became deep and dark in an instant. He leaned down, propped his arms on both sides of her body, leaned close to her sensitive neck, and sprayed warm breath on her skin. With a low and hoarse laugh, he asked in a teasing tone whether her physical discomfort was caused by ordinary allergies or the special physical sensitivity brought by the spiritual connection with the plush bear. After the ambiguous temptation, Cheng Yizhu took the broken plush bear to the kitchen counter, preparing to give his son a comprehensive physical examination and wound treatment. He took out professional medical alcohol, tweezers and disinfection supplies out of thin air, and put on a white coat with a black tank top inside. The tight clothing outlined his smooth muscle lines, forming a strong uniform temptation, completely breaking his usual rigorous and cold image. When the cold alcohol cotton wiped the cracked back of the plush bear, Ruan Tang trembled uncontrollably, clinging tightly to the marble countertop, and every subtle movement of his fingers would bring synchronized pain unditching to her body. Cheng Yizhu carefully cleaned the exposed cotton wadding in the crack with tweezers. The cold metal tools touched the bear's body, and Ruan Tang's knees hit the cabinet hard due to the sudden strange touch. He noticed her abnormal reaction instantly, and asked in a calm tone whether she felt severe pain. Ruan Tang forced a stiff smile to hide her physical and psychological restlessness, but she clearly realized that this shrewd and scheming president had completely discovered the strange sensory connection between her and the plush bear. Next, Cheng Yizhu deliberately teased her. He manipulated the tweezers to gently scratch the waist of the plush bear. The dense and numbing itching spread along Ruan Tang's spine in an instant, making her whole body weak and numb. He recorded the date, seriously with a serious expression, confirming that the doll's sensory feedback system was operating normally. After taking off his flat glasses, his broken hair fell on his forehead, softening his cold temperament and making him look several years younger. Then he held the plush bear by the back of its neck, preparing for an oral examination. The moment the bear's mouth was pried open, Ruan Tang's tongue suddenly became numb and weak. Cheng Yizhu's fingers stayed at the bear's mouth, but Ruan Tang unconsciously opened her lips slightly, falling into the strange shackles of synchronous induction. He caught this subtle reaction in his eyes, and his deep eyes were stained with thick darkness and desire. His voice became low and hoarse, and he ordered Ruan Tang to prepare bath water for the plush bear immediately. Sound of running water in the bathtub covered her chaotic heartbeat, but it could not hide the increasingly ambiguous atmosphere between them. Cheng Yizhu leaned against the bathroom door frame with the plush bear in his arms, and his hot sight fell on Ruan Tang's slender waist exposed when she bent down to work, unscrupulously staring at every subtle movement of her. Just as she stood up in a panic, she was suddenly pressed on the shoulder by the plush bear in his hand. He threw out an ambiguous invitation to take a bath together, making Ruan Tang's brain go blank and fall into complete shock. After teasing her sufficiently, he corrected his words with a low smile, asking her to bathe and clean the plush bear alone, whispered ambiguous hints in her ear, asking whether she preferred to take a bath with him privately. When smearing bath foam on the plush bear, Ruan Tang bit her lips tightly to suppress her abnormal reaction, trying to maintain her last rationality. Cheng Yizhu stuck tightly behind her, wrapping his big palm around her hand, guiding her to knead the fluffy belly hair of the bear in circles. The intimate skin contact and overlapping body postures made her whole body hot and restless. In the middle of cleaning, he took over the work alone, slowly stroking every inch of the plush bear's body with his slender fingers. Ruan Tang's sight was firmly locked on his movements, and her senses were completely controlled by this strange synchronous induction. In a moment of absent-mindedness, she leaned back suddenly, and the back of her head accidentally hit Cheng Yizhu's warm palm. He stopped all movements immediately, and the bath foam on the bear's trousers was still wet and messy. He squatted down to look directly at her, and touched her chin with his fingers stained with foam. The sweet and strange taste of the foam spread in her mouth when her lips were touched, making the ambiguous emotion between them reach a climax quietly. On the working Monday, Ruan Tang avoided Chang Yizhu's sight all the time in the company meeting, afraid of recalling all the ambiguous and intimate experiences of the weekend. Chang Yizhu announced the company's team-building plan at the meeting, arranging a hot spring resort trip on the weekend. When a female colleague asked whether family members could be brought, he took the initiative to lock his sight on Ruan Tang in front of all employees, throwing the question to her on purpose, making her the focus of the whole meeting in an instant. Faced with the ambiguous hints from the president, Ruan Tang was at a loss and flustered. After the meeting, Ruan Tang learned that all employees could participate in the team building as scheduled. She tried her best to avoid Chang Yizhu and the company, but she was still blocked by him beside the copier. He held the plush bear in his arms and asked, in a cold tone, whether she was deliberately avoiding him. Then he issued a tough order, asking her to wear the swimsuit he prepared privately during the hot spring team building, and threatened vaguely that if she disobeyed, he would conduct a comprehensive re-examination on the plush bear in public as punishment. At the hot spring resort, the air was filled with the unique sulfur smell of hot springs. Ruan Tang wrapped her bathrobe tightly and stayed away from the crowd nervously. The swimsuit sent by Chang Yizhu was extremely bold and exposed, only spliced with thin ribbons. It matched with a mini bow-tie of the same style as the plush bear. Her colleagues dragged her into the open-air hot spring in a playful atmosphere. Through the dense hot steam, she saw Chang Yizhu leaning lazily opposite the hot spring, with crystal water droplets sliding down his muscle lines. He held the plush bear wearing a mini swimming ring in his hand, and the cute doll formed a sharp contrast with his wild and sexy figure.